Most people think the Great Barrier Reef built itself. They're wrong. What you're seeing when you look at those postcards, those impossibly bright waters, the towering coral formations that rise like underwater cathedrals, isn't the work of chance. It's the result of a construction project so vast, so methodical, and so ancient that it makes human engineering look like sandcastles. And the architects, they're still working. Right now, you just can't see them. For more than 1,000,000 years, maybe much longer, tiny creatures called coral polyps have been building, not consciously, not with blueprints or meetings or committees, but with an intelligence that flows through their bodies like instinct itself. Each polyp, smaller than a grain of sand, knows exactly what to do: extract calcium from the ocean, shape it, stack it, and create something that will outlast civilizations. The reef stretches for over 400 miles along Australia's coast. That's roughly the distance from New York to Chicago. But it's not solid. It's not one wall of coral. It's a living city. Thousands of individual colonies, each one a separate organism, all cooperating in silence, all building together towards something none of them will ever fully understand. Here's where it gets stranger. The polyps themselves can't survive alone. They're in partnership, a millennia-long contract, with organisms called zooxanthellae. These are algae, microscopic. They live inside the polyp's tissue. In exchange for shelter, they photosynthesize and hand over nutrients. The polyp feeds. The algae gets sunlight. Neither could build the reef without the other. This is cooperation at the deepest level. Not chosen, not negotiated, just understood. The way your heart understands it needs to beat. The way roots understand they need to reach down. The reef isn't built by individual genius. It's built by millions of small agreements, repeated across millennia, each one saying, we build together or we don't build at all. But there's something else happening in the reef, something that most tourists never notice. The reef is also a city of eaters and eaten. Predators glide through the branches, tiny crustaceans hide in crevices, fish dart between the coral heads, finding shelter, finding food, finding life. The polyps built the walls, but the reef is alive because of what lives inside them. The construction never stops. Not for a day, not for a season. Every single polyp, every single moment is adding to the structure. A polyp might secrete just millimeters of new limestone in a year, but multiply that across millions of polyps, across thousands of colonies, across more than 1,000,000 years. You get something that can be seen from space, something that has its own weather, its own currents, its own gravity almost. The reef has survived ice ages. It survived meteor impacts. It survived the rise and fall of human civilizations that never even knew it existed. It survived because the polyps kept building, even when the ocean temperature shifted, even when food was scarce, even when the world above was burning or freezing or ending. The work continued. But here's what keeps this story from being just another nature documentary. The reef is fragile now in a way it's never been, not fragile from time, not fragile from natural disaster, fragile from heat. The ocean is warming, the polyps are stressed. When water gets too warm, they expel the zooxanthellae, those algae partners they've relied on for so long. Without them, the polyp starves. The coral bleaches white. It dies. This is happening now, right now. Reefs around the world are bleaching. Some recover, some don't. The architects are still building, still trying, but the conditions they've relied on for 1,000,000 years are changing faster than they can adapt. The polyps don't understand why. They just keep working, keep secreting calcium, keep hoping the water cools again. What's remarkable, what's almost heartbreaking, is that they do recover sometimes. New polyps settle on dead reef. They start again. The builders return. The construction restarts. It's not the same reef. It's not as grand, but it's something, and that something is proof that even in a changing world, even when the odds are stacked, the work continues. The architects keep building. When you float above the reef, or dive down into it, or even just look at a photograph, you're witnessing something that took longer to build than humans have existed, longer than our species has had language, longer than we've had cities or agriculture or writing. And it's built by creatures so small you need a microscope to see them. Built by accident, built by instinct, built by love, if we're allowed to call it that. The polyps don't know they are architects. They don't know about beauty or engineering or legacy. They just know build. And in that simple, relentless knowing, they've created one of the most complex, most vibrant, most necessary ecosystems on Earth. A system that feeds fish, that shelters creatures, that creates oxygen, that reminds us, if we're quiet enough to listen, that the smallest actions, repeated long enough, can reshape the world. So the next time you see an image of the Great Barrier Reef, pause for a moment. Don't just look at the colors or the beauty. Think about the polyps. Think about the zooxanthellae. Think about a million years of small, invisible creatures doing their work in the dark. Building, always building, never stopping, never complaining, just building. That's the real story of the reef. Not a postcard, not a tourist destination, a monument to patience, to cooperation, to the power of small, relentless work done in service of something larger than yourself. And as you drift off to sleep tonight, maybe let that thought settle into you. Let it remind you that the world is being built right now, by creatures you'll never meet, in ways you'll never fully understand. And that's okay, that's beautiful. Subscribe so you don't miss the next story. There's a new wonder waiting to unfold every week.